Welcome back to the grand finale of the Irish Open 2007. Let's get straight back to the action at the final table, where the stakes are getting higher.
The blinds are 30 and 60,000. The ante is 5,000, so it puts an enormous amount of chips in play before the cards are dealt. There's only 7 million in chips in this tournament. De Wolf now with over 2 million.
An amazing comeback. He only had a little under 400,000 when there were 7 players left.
How did he do it, Park?
Sheer aggression. You know, sometimes the guy that wants it most and is prepared to gamble most to get it is going to be rewarded.
This is a clinical case. Roland de Wolf saying has never been scared to push him in, and that's why he's got so many. And King 5 on the button. Keep on forward.
Well, raised to 150,000.
The advantage of having a stack as big as de Wolf's at this stage is that he can put the pressure on everybody else at the table. He's going to raise with just about anything, and they're going to have a hand to call him. Obviously, you know, if you want to get some chips in this tournament, probably the best way to go about it, if the dealer isn't going to help you out and give you a few big hands, is to start re-raising Roland de Wolf, Roland de Wolf. You know, it takes a lot of courage to do it, but I'm afraid that's the winning strategy.
Easier said than done. De Wolf is probably the biggest casher on the poker scene in Europe over the last 18 months, over 2 million.
Well, he's had a phenomenal run. He's won a WPT, he's won an EPT, he had a third at the World Series of Poker last year. You know, this kid's just living the dream. You know, there's tens and thousands of guys out there just want to be Roland de Wolf right now. I mean, two years ago, he was writing in a magazine because he's a complete poker junkie.
Sick game.
De Wolf in the big blind for 60,000. It'll cost that much or more to call a raise now. Round the table in a clockwise fashion. These guys have been playing for 4 days, most of the days and nights. Is stamina going to affect them, you wonder?
I think you know, this is such a great tournament, Jesse, that, I mean, stamina is not going to be a problem because these guys are going to have that adrenaline pumping through their veins so fast that they could play for another week, I promise you. You know, being at the final table of the Irish Open is one of the greatest thrills you could ever have in a poker career.
Marty Smith limping in, just calling, and the raise has come from de Wolf. 60,000 more.
120,000 more.
120,000 more even.
What did you expect?
Me to follow. Me to re-raise, all in.
No. Marty Smith just calling
raise is going
here.
to be another 120.
Well, Marty Smith has been around long enough to know that you can't just sit back and let the likes of Roland de Wolf run all over you, because if you let them, they certainly will. And de Wolf is one of the best players of the world at turning the screws.
Well, this pot is over 300,000, and Marty's hit a pair.
Check.
So has de Wolf.
Check.
On the bottom side, he's only got deuce 4.
That jack, not a bad card for Marty Smith. You know, another jack comes up, it makes it. But the second jack comes, it makes it less likely that that de Wolf has been slow playing the jack.
Why do I do this to myself?
That's
Well, there's a very simple answer to that one, and that's because he loves it. You know? No, this Roland de Wolf, I mean, he's in love with the whole game. I don't think Roland cares a jot about the money. He's just an adrenaline junkie.
The Belfast professional Marty Smith, as you say, he's been hanging around the final tables for some time, but that big win has eluded him thus far. You know he loves it. Here is how the chips spread out, and besides de Wolf, who's got about double the rest of them, very tight between it.
You know, it looks like we got our game on our hands here, Jesse. Mitzi's shown that he's not going to get the little bit of adversity that he's run into, upset him, put him off his game. I was very impressed with the way this guy played yesterday. You know, he created a big illusion that he was getting some big hands, but he was kind of playing in spurts. You know, he bluffed 2 or 3 pods in a row, and then he'd slow down.
He does.
And when that happens, I mean, the other guys think that he must have hit a few hands, and then when he slowed down, that sort of the cards had dried up. But that wasn't what was happening. He was actually stealing.
He's got a fantastic demeanor, too, for a 20-year-old. Doesn't show much emotion and has a very good sense of humor.
Well, he's a Canadian. They don't have any emotion.
Ace-10, far bigger than the last hand Mitzi raised, which was a 9-deuce. And how much is it worth? He's counting them out here. 60,000 plus how many?
But the ace-10 looks like a big hand when you put a 9 deuce, the previous one.
I'll tell you what, for those of you watching in black and white, I don't know the difference between the grays and the blacks, but it's fine lines.
I think they're a bit of a competition, a side bet to see who could be the worst dressed at the final table today. We have to announce a 6-way tie. All bets are void.
Mitzi's made it 160. Cold called by DeWolf with the king-jack suited. And,
well, as this is the second pot in a row that Mitzi has raised, a lot of the time you'd expect DeWolf to re-raise him there with the king-jack, because he knows that Mitzi's a pretty aggressive player. You know, against a tight player, the king-jack is nothing, but against an aggressive player like Mitzi, the king-jack is a pretty big hand.
Ace-10 has hit, and DeWolf will like his cards as well.
Well, if Mitzi knew that DeWolf had king-jack, he might check this and let Wolf hang himself.
It's going to be a case of who gets their chips in first, or are they all going in?
Well, Mitzi's are certainly all going in.
250,000.
Bet,
You can see the
250,000.
percentages. DeWolf can hit a jack, queen, or king to make a better hand.
Now DeWolf left with a big decision.
250.
If Mitzi hasn't hit this flop or had a big oval pair,
258, 200.
DeWolf could win this with a raise. And if there's one guy at this table capable of making this move, it is DeWolf. It'd be a nice move, but it'd be a long time for him. He's having a good think about it.
And how many options does Roland have here?
3. Well, there's call, pass, or raise. Call would be considered a little ambitious. Pass would be considered sort of technically quite a good play, and raise would be great.
Only 60-40. There's not that much in this. And is DeWolf just trying to work out if Mitzi's going to call if he ships him?
Well, he's studying Mitzi's body language. He's trying to see how comfortable Mitzi is with this flop. You know, I think Mitzi's got a pretty big reputation for playing online poker, but there's a hell of a difference between going from sitting at home in your underwear playing poker on a computer.
He's done it, Parg! Re-raise all in!
He covers me, right?
Well, this was kind of what I was expecting DeWolf to do.
250, all right.
You know, this is why Ronald DeWolf has been such a successful player, because he is capable of making these moves. Now, in this particular circumstance, Demisi's got the ace-10, but it's still a very nice move from DeWolf.
But I just think, I mean, Mitzi does have top pair, top kicker, but he's now being asked a question for his tournament.
Well, you know,
7, 8, 9.
I think Mitzi's up to making this call.
Yeah, he hasn't got.
I mean, he's basically got to decide whether DeWolf has flopped a set, maybe a set of juices or something, or a draw, or a worse pendulum, or 10 with a smaller kicker.
Could Roland have slow played a big pair like queens or kings?
I don't think with the blind this big that that's really an option today. With a big pair like queens or kings, you're probably going to re-raise before the flop.
If Mitzi calls and loses, he's called! We're going to see 2 more cards. And the ace-10's good, but that's only right now.
Well, Mitzi's done all he can do here. He's got his chips in with the best hand on the flop.
This is the biggest pot of this young Canadian's life. He's got plenty of supporters here as well. They've made the long flight over.
And stop the hand.
Both of them.
This is sick.
6,
No king.
775.
It'd be cool and Mitzi if he gets knocked out at this early stage, because he has been one of the sensations of this tournament.
65, 35. Good luck, Thomas.
But whatever happens here, I mean, you got to like Roland DeWolf's
I'm a
card.
favorite, but I don't
I'm
know.
over to watch it with him.
The difference between a good player and a champion is that a champion has got the courage to make the kind of move that DeWolf made here.
I don't even want to look.
All right, so it's
That kind of thing. DeWolf is
really
going
had
to win
to do
this.
this.
800,
I don't want to call you. I have to.
850, 900.
I had to.
Roland's telling him you didn't have to do it,
You
son.
didn't have to.
150,
Why'd you
60,
do it then?
70, 80, 90.
You thought
How
it
many hands you're going to fold?
Roland, he's consoling him. Roland feels like an old man compared to this 20-year-old Sorrel Mitzi. Good luck.
But he is an old man.
And this is what the Irish Open is about. 2 cards. And whoever wins this pot is going to go massive favorite.